The story of the king and the ring. Once upon a time, there was a king who said this to the members of his kingdom. I have bought one of the most beautiful diamonds in the world, and I want to hide a message in the ring, which I intend to pass on to my successors after my rule. The message should serve me and others in times of desperation and struggle. It must be a short sentence that can be stashed under the ring's diamond. All those who listened were very clever and quick thinkers. They all could write passages and essays, but not short sentence that is not longer than 2 to 3 words. That would assist someone in times of despair. They all thought but could not come up with what was needed. The king was a bit disappointed, and he went into his chambers where his old servant met him. As the king's mother passed away at a very young age, he was raised majorly by this faithful servant. The king had tremendous respect for the servant, and so he presented his current problem to him. The old man said, I'm not wise nor scholarly nor well educated like the others, sir, but I do know of a message. During my life, in the palace, I've met all sorts of people, and once I met a wizard who was invited by your father. To thank me, he gave me this message. The old servant wrote something on a piece of paper and handed it to the king. But don't read it, he said, keep it hidden in the ring. And open it only when you have no other choice. Soon after, the kingdom was invaded and the king started to lose battles. He fled on his horse, followed by his enemies. He was alone and his enemies were many. With no other choice, a cliff lay ahead of him and there was no way of return. He remembered the message inside the ring. He opened it, took out the piece of paper, and read the short message. This too shall pass. As soon as he read the message, he felt a great sense of silence and empowerment enveloping him. His enemies got lost in the woods and their horses were nowhere to be. The king was thankful to his old servant and the wizard. These words were incredible. He put the piece of paper back under the diamond in the ring and embarked on his journey back to his kingdom. The day he got back to his kingdom, all were feeling victorious. He was greeted with a big feast and his happiness was spellbound. The old servant stood next to him and said, "This moment too is right for another look at the hidden message." The king was amused and he replied, "Now that I'm victorious, people are celebrating. I'm not desperate or in a no-option situation. Why would I even look at the message?" The servant said, "Listen to me, sir. This message is relevant both in times of despair and in good times as well." The king opened the message again. "This too shall pass." The king again felt the great internal silence that he had felt before. Though he was celebrating, his pride and ego disappeared and diminished. The king understood the true meaning of the message and he was enlightened. The moral of the story: just as everything in our external environment is constantly changing, the same is the case with everything in our internal environment. All our thoughts and feelings are like clouds in the sky, constantly arising and passing.